Chris Barnes, American skipper, 8th participation for him. 3 singles matches last year, 3 victories. Clean through and opens with a strike.
Yeah, can't ask for any better than that. Strikes like that early on do help you to relax a little bit. Not that this man really needs that. One of the most experienced players on the American and World Tour. Stopped off at Vienna on the way to the Weber Cup here and had a pretty good tournament at one of the events on the European Tour.
Where Dom was a semi-finalist. Off. Left the 10 standing. He won't be happy with that.
Yeah, slightly different line he played than in the Baker game. Certainly a lot tighter, different angle. Gets out to that break point on about the 10th ball and rips back to the pocket. But there you can see that single pin's laid flat in the gutter, leaving the 10 pin defiant to the end until the spare ball gets it. Yeah, Dom just having a look at his feet there. Maybe he got stuck a little bit on the approach. Maybe some of the lane conditioning oil has come back and he's got it on his feet. But a spare to start is not too bad.
Another strike for Barnes. 2 in a row.
Yeah, the perfect way to go, isn't it? Dom and double time for Chris Barnes. So he gets out to about 42 feet and that ball just hooks back. Trips the 4 pin in the end, but it's good enough for 2 strikes in a row. Puts pressure right back on Dom Barrett.
Responds in kind there. Yeah. Strike for Dom. Europe wanted and needed it.
Yeah, great looking shot. Much better. Chris Barnes, man in form. Went to the World 10-Pin Bowling Association World Championships in Las Vegas back in July. Won a couple of gold medals in the doubles and the all events. Picked up a couple of silver medals as well. So is he on top of the world, on top of his game? Very much so.
And that's his turkey, 3 in a row.
Yes, and they all look pretty good, didn't they? So he's really lined up on this with his lane dressing. 39 feet of oil, 21 feet of back end. That's the dry part of the lane, where the ball reacts with the lane and the rotation put on the ball by the bowler and makes it hook up in, hopefully, into the 1-3 pocket for the right-handers. That's the centre pin and the one just to the right of it. The perfect place for a right-hander's strike.
That's where Dom hopes this one's heading. Nailed it.
Yeah, pretty much just like that, and the European captain's very happy. Couple of strikes in a row for Dom. Mika's going to be up next, and here we see the slow motion replay. Just hitting that down the lane marker, that brown board that you can see. That's where Dom is wanting his ball. That's his guide. It just turns up nicely to the pocket.
Opened up with 3 strikes, Barnes, and there is another.
Yeah, great looking shot from Chris Barnes. You saw the cupped wrist that he's got before he releases that bowling ball. And as that wrist opens up, it puts rotation on the ball that reacts with the lane in the back end. So he's looking pretty cool, but who wouldn't with 4 strikes to start with?
Well, whether he or his team are in the ascendancy or struggling, just takes it all in his stride, does Barnes. He's laying the gauntlet down here for Dom Barrett. Well, that's 3 in a row for Dom. He's hanging on the coattails here of Barnes. And Mika Koivuniemi there, who's already replete with enough nicknames. Might be another one added. The Professor. Looks very studious, doesn't he?
With those new spectacles,
yeah.
Yes. Just come off of a huge win on the European Tour in Vienna. Barnes now looking for a 5-bagger.
Oh, yes.
Repetition is very much part of this game, as sounds a bit obvious, I know, but Chris looking very relaxed. He's got his line, he's got the rotation perfect, the speed is perfect, and so is the reaction in the back end. Sets up that chain reaction as the ball enters the pocket into the pin deck.
Dom Barrett, yeah, it's another strike for Dom, and this is very, very interesting.
That was kind of fortunate, Andy. It wasn't the best shot in the world. It was slightly off the pocket, but look at the scores there. Strikes galore, bar one frame. These guys are not actually playing one another in theory. They're playing the lane. If they can beat the lane, overcome it, then they should be able to shoot scores big enough to beat their opponent. So it's the lane they're after, and Chris doesn't really like that one, but he's going to carry 10 pins anyway, whether his footwork was good or not.
Well, it gets to this sort of time and you start wondering, you start dreaming. Well, some of us do.
I'm not even going to go there. Chris has got 6 strikes in a row. He's, well, we're going to say locked and loaded. He's now going to start concentrating because he thinks, well, I've got this lane virtually beaten. Let's see how far we can go. And if we can take the scalp of Dom Barrett at the same time, it's a point for Team USA.
Oh, he's really hit the groove now, Dom.
Yeah, he goes 5 strikes in a row. It's just showing you the style and the expertise of these players, that when they get on a lane in a tournament that really, really suits their style and they get loaded, they can just hit strike after strike. And this is why maximum games do occur. Just have to hope that you can get a lane that suits you. This lane has not been dressed since the Baker match earlier on. So some oil has been moved around. Yeah, just trying to get settled there with those feet. Nice shoes, Chris. That's a classic 5-step approach up to the line.
Is it another? Yes, it is.
Wow.
Oh, wow. An early treat in this opening session of the Weber Cup. It's Chris Barnes, and he is flying.
Yes, 7 in a row for Superman. He's certainly acting like Superman at the moment. I don't know if he's got any telephone boxes to turn around and change in, but he's got lots of room to go on the score sheet. He needs, dare I say it, another 5 strikes in a row. And he'll raise the roof here at Weber Cup 14.
Here comes Dom. Oh. Well, the run ends for Dom Barrett. And are we seeing, well, the USA's first point?
Well, it's early doors yet, but good shots like that leave the 10-pin unexplainably are likely the loser, the match loser. I mean, it was a good shot, and normally you would accept a spare, but not good enough, I'm afraid, and that could well let Chris Barnes in. And you can see the difference in the scores. Chris is still on the maximum, and Dominic can only hit 269 thanks to those 2 single-pin spares.
Barnes, perfect so far. It's frame 8. There he goes once again, Cass. Ah, what terrific form from Chris Barnes straight away here.
I've seen quite a few 300 games rolled in my 40-odd years in this sport, but it's always nice to see another one, and it's always nice to see one on television. Now, Chris Barnes has actually bowled a 300 game on television in the United States, one of the 20-odd that has actually happened. But you can see the concentration on his face now. He's in the mood, getting into the mode.
That's a strike for Dom.
Let's take nothing away from Dom Barrett. He's bowled a really good game here so far. He's had 2 single pin spares, which could well have been strikes. And he too could have actually been on 8 strikes in a row.
Yeah, this is where Chris starts to think about things a little more, and this is where keeping composed gets you through, I would imagine, Cass. So you've seen a few perfect games in your time. I think you're being modest, you've rolled a few as well.
Yeah, not as many as this man, though. Chris has just taken a re-rack, which he's allowed to do. He wasn't happy with the setup of the pin, so he's asked for a fresh deck, which has been now set up. So he's just gathering himself for this really important shot in the foundation frame. It's frame number 9.
Perfect so far, still perfect. He likes it.
I love it. It's just fantastic. That's 9 strikes in a row. A classic style of probably the #1 player in the world. Ripping the rack, 9 strikes in a row. And the next time he stands up, it will be the 10th frame, and he will be bowling, hopefully, for a 300 game. We can talk about it now. He's got this far, and wouldn't this be great? Kind of unfortunate that Dom Barrett has almost been a spectator in this game, although he really has bowled well. And there's another strike for him. He's still pacing 260 odd. But here we have Chris Barnes, the Team USA captain, as hot as you like. 9 strikes in a row. Everybody's holding their breath.
Dom's 269, already a score that would have comfortably won a good handful of singles matches last year, and will no doubt be a score sufficient to do the same this year. But right now, it is all about Chris Barnes. Oh, he gave it a look, but they all tumbled, and this is on.
He's got a big smile on his face. This was slightly fortunate, but it's the 10th frame. And look how light that is on the head pin. And he's got some mix. The 5 pin was the last to go. And this is so important for him.
He stared it down, didn't he? He stared that down.
1 down, 2 to go. Come on, Chris, make this a good one.
Can he do it? Oh. We're 1 bowl away. Tommy Jones has done it 3 times here at the Metrodome. Paul Moore back in 2006 broke the mould. But now it is Chris Barnes, the daddy of this United States team, with a chance to write his name in Webber Cup history, to add another chapter.
Just gathering his thoughts. 1 look at the pins down the far end. A nice deep breath. He's got 11 strikes in a row behind him. This for 300.
It's Chris Barnes. Is it a perfect game? Yes, it is! What a start to this Webber Cup. In the opening singles match, there is a standing ovation for Chris Barnes. He was perfect there. He was brilliant. Chris Barnes with a perfect game.
Superman rules, Superman smiles. This is the final shot. He's laid it out. He's hit his mark. The speed's good, the rotation is good, and the chain reaction in the back end is just fantastic. 12 great strikes, and look at the body reaction there. Everybody just loves this man and his bowling.
Paul Moore, Tommy Jones, and now Chris Barnes. Perfect men at the Webber Cup.